Okay, I just finished this book last night, and Sarah J. Maas is a genius. Hello lovely people, my name's Nicole, and today I am going to be talking about A Court of Thorns and Roses by Sarah J. Maas. The first section of this review is going to be spoiler free, so if you haven't read it, don't worry. I'll let you know when to leave, when I'm going to start talking spoilers. So if you don't know what this book is about, it is a new series from Sarah J. Maas, the author of the Throne of Glass series. And it is a Beauty and the Beast retelling. This story focuses on a girl named Feyre. Thank God for pronunciation guides, because it's a fantasy. But it focuses on a girl named Feyre whose family is going through some hard times, and so she has to hunt through the woods to feed them, basically, because it's winter and food is hard to find and they're low on money. So she's hunting and she kills a wolf. And a couple days later, some fairies show up at her door and tell her that because the wolf she killed was one of the fae, she now owes them a life debt, and they can either kill her, or they can take her away to live with them. And since it is a Beauty and the Beast retelling, and following in the plotline of Beauty and the Beast, she goes to live with the fae and meets a potential cute boy. So my general thoughts on this book were that I absolutely loved it. I love fairy tale retellings. If you know me, I read pretty much any fairy tale retelling I can get my hands on, and this one was no different. It's the perfect combination of fairy tale and epic, awesome fantasy. I thought that Feyre was a fantastic main character. She was just the perfect amount of kick-ass. And the boys in here are very swoon-worthy. They really are. But they don't, I didn't ever feel like they were over the top or unrealistic in their, I mean, they're unrealistic because they're fairies, but I never felt like they were unrealistic in their sexiness, if that makes any sense. But there's so many awesome elements to this story that go even beyond the classic Beauty and the Beast story, and it's amazing and beautiful, and Tamlin is bae. So yes, I definitely recommend it. I gave it 5 out of 5 stars. One thing that I do want to mention, just because I know it was something that I was sort of hesitant about when I was going into the book, is Beauty and the Beast stories do tend to get a little Stockholm syndrome-y, which is something I was really worried about with this book, and I just want to say I did not feel that at all, so props to Sarah J. Maas. Alright, now I gave it 5 out of 5 stars. I'm gonna go and talk spoilers, so if you haven't read this book, go to your bookstore immediately and buy it because it's amazing. It's another fantastic piece from Sarah J. Maas. So I definitely recommend you buy it if you like fantasy, or if you like fairies, or if you like, just like fairy tale retellings, or if you like her Throne of Glass series. Read it. It's so good. Spoilers now. Warning, warning, spoilers. I'm about to spoil this book. If you do not want to hear spoilers, leave now. This is your official warning. Okay. This book though. If you notice me looking down, I have my laptop with some notes on it over here. So if you notice me looking down, that's why. So I split my notes up into a couple different sections. First, let's talk about the general plot. Just want to say, first of all, I totally solved that riddle. Amarantha gave us the riddle. I thought about it for like 2 seconds, and I'm like, oh no, it's totally love. Obviously, it's love. Get your head in the game, Feyre. No, but I loved it. It was beautiful. I think it was a really good riddle. Granted, kind of easy, but you know, whatever. It followed the original fairy tale significantly closer than I expected it to. I expected it to just have that sort of original, girl gets kidnapped by beast type creature and they fall in love. I did not expect to have that added on, boy, the beast has to get the girl to fall in love with him thing from the original fairy tale. Or is that, maybe that's just from the Disney movie. I don't know, I haven't read the original fairy tale. But I really, really appreciated seeing that. I thought it was amazing. And I didn't expect it, which I probably should have. But I don't know, I never expect Beauty and the Beast fairy tales to do that. I don't know why, I probably should. But yeah, I really thought it was really cool the way that was done in Amarantha? Yeah, Amarantha. Pronunciation guides are very nice. I thought was a badass and very sadistic villain, and I'm kind of sad we're not gonna keep seeing her in later books. Let's see, what else? I loved the ending. They're adorable, and I want them to ride off into the sunset all times. The way that they just slowly fell in love was beautiful, sort of the evolution of their relationship. I actually also have this sort of thing in my notes about Farah. But just the way that, how she saw the Fae. How when she originally got there, Tamlin and Lucien and everyone were very noble, very sort of foreign, mysterious, magical. And then as she got to know them more, they became more and more humanized. And you could see her, you could really just feel her slowly falling in love with Tamlin. And it was adorable. They are so cute. They really, really are. Let's talk about Farah, specifically. One of the things that I noticed about her that I really enjoyed was that she can kick ass hunting and fighting and all that jazz. But whenever she's given the option, she's like, yeah, I'm not a huge fan of fighting. I'm not a huge fan of hunting. I just want to stay inside and paint. Let's not do violence. Let's just hang out. But as soon as she needs to protect her family or the people she loves, back the hell off, because she's gonna kick some ass. And I think that's so great, because so often you see these girls in fiction, young adult fiction, a lot of dystopian and a lot of fantasy and urban fantasy, that are just sort of like, yeah, kick ass, my only character trait is that I'm kick-ass and not like the other girls. And Farah did not feel like one of those, and I really appreciated that. I felt like she really had some dimension, and her paintings, I really wish I could see them. Actually, this is one of the other things. If you get a chance, go onto Sarah J. Maas's Pinterest board, because I'll link it in the doobly-doo. But she has a board for each of her series. And she pins pictures that just remind her of sort of the general feeling of the book. She'll pin, paintings or pictures of models or actors who remind her of the characters, usually like paintings. And she at one point she pinned a painting that she's like, this reminds me of Farah's painting. Or she pinned a tattoo that's like, this is exactly how I pictured Farah's tattoo. And so if you want that extra help with visualizing things, that can be super helpful. Or if you don't want to have that extra input, if you just want to completely imagine it on your own. Personally, I like looking at them, but you know, you do you. One of the things that I was curious about is how, that thing at the end, how did they turn her into High Fae? Since when is that a thing that they can do? I was kind of confused about how that happened. Hopefully they'll explain it in later books, but it was just a little confusing for me. Tam. I want to talk about Tam, because Tamlin is the bae. I adore Tamlin. The first note I have on here that I wrote just on my phone while I was reading is, Tamlin is simultaneously a sweet cinnamon roll too pure for this world and the hottest fucking thing I've ever seen. True story. I think I wrote that after the, like, Night of Fire, or whatever it's called, thing. I'm like, this is fucked up, but holy shit. Tamlin is so hot. Tamlin is so hot. And then, but he's also just an angel and a cutie pie, and I want to protect him. But, like, I know he doesn't need protection, especially not anymore. But he's amazing, and I am 100% in love with Tamlin. I really am. Also, when he was showing Feyre the poems that he made from her list of words, I really want to know what that last poem was, what that dirty poem was, because I'm, you know, curious about his poetry skills. That's why. Okay, now moving on to talk about Lucien. I adore him. I really do. I want one. I want more of him. He's so great and sassy. And while I was reading, his relationship with Feyre reminds me of the relationship between Rose and Christian in Vampire Academy. How, if you ask them, they're like, what are you talking about? Of course we're not friends. Psh, we totally hate each other. But in reality, they're like super good friends, and they would go to the ends of the earth in order to save each other, and they actually adore each other, but they would never, ever, ever admit it. And it's great. I love it so much. Those are my favorite kinds of friendships because they're so funny and everyone's always so snarky and it's adorable. The next person I want to talk about is Rhys. Rhys is complicated. I feel like we're at a crossroads with him right now because he could either go super dark and be terrifying, or he could have like this big redemption arc type thing. I'm kind of thinking we're leaning towards the redemption arc, but I guess we're gonna have to wait and see what happens when Feyre visits him in the Night Kingdom, which I'm super excited to see. I don't know what's gonna happen. Also, what was that at the end there when he like disappeared? Because it seemed like something was kind of off there because she said he stumbled. I don't know. But one of the things that I noticed while I was reading about Rhys, especially sort of in the earlier times before we got to know him more and got to know more of his motivations, is he's scary. I've personally found him scarier than I found Amarantha. And I think the reason for that is the same reason that people hate Umbridge so much. It's because, you know, you have the big villains, the Voldemorts and the Amaranthas, who are big and they're scary. But people like Umbridge and people like Rhys, you know people like that. You've seen people like that. You've dealt with people like that. You know, Umbridge is that mean teacher who refused to give you a passing grade or whatever. And Rhys is that guy that follows you home after catcalling you on the street. It's the kind of relatable kind of scary, I think, that makes it so terrifying. And honestly, Rhys really freaked me out for a really long time. Now that we know him a little better, I like him a lot more. But yeah, he's a piece of work. I love this book. I really do. Also, Nesta, I think, has some of the best character development in the shortest amount of time that we've ever seen. I guess for her it was, like, more time. But, damn, she totally pulled a 180. I started off really just violently hating her. And then as soon as we saw her again, she was, like, immediately became my favorite character. Amazing. Good character development is very important. Let me know what you guys think. Personally, I loved it, obviously, so much. I am dying for the next one, although it is nice that she didn't leave us with that bad of a cliffhanger. Thank you for that, Sarah J. Maas. But yes, obviously, I absolutely loved this. Please let me know what your thoughts are in the comments below. I love you, and I will see you later.